Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the eCommerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. To build on last week's episode about email marketing in Q4, I wanted to chat about email's cooler cousin, SMS, and how you can use it to amplify your holiday marketing strategy. While I will never stop advocating for email, it's hard to ignore the impact of SMS. Studies show that 98% of SMS messages get opened, and 90% of those are read within the first 3 minutes. While those numbers are insanely high, it's really not surprising considering most of us will have some sort of persistent notification on our phone until we read that message. So it's pretty safe to say that open rates of SMS messages aren't telling the full story. That said, they also boast a 29% click-through rate. So that's still a huge percentage of people that are engaging with SMS messages. And when you have someone who is that engaged with what you have to say, it means you have a better chance of them actually making a purchase from you, especially when you're talking about time-sensitive offers that have a defined expiration date. SMS can be a great way to break through the noise of Black Friday weekend and make sure your best customers don't miss out on your promo offers. The downside of SMS is that it's much more intrusive than email, and with that comes stricter rules and regulations that you have to follow. For example, SMS does not have implied consent like email does, which means your customers need to explicitly opt in to receive text messages from you. You're also required to recognize quiet hours. These typically fall between 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. in the customer's local time zone. That does vary by country, so make sure you look up the specifics for where your customers are at. This means you cannot send SMS messages during that window without risking potential fines. And aside from just avoiding potential legal issues, you want to make sure you're being considerate of your customers. While I will often recommend sending 2 emails per day during your big holiday promotions, I would not make that same recommendation for text message marketing. While emails are easily swallowed into the black hole of someone's inbox, remember those text messages will create notifications and they're going to live in the same thread on someone's phone. So it's going to be really obvious and obnoxious if you blow up their phone with these messages multiple times a day. When it comes to your SMS frequency for your Black Friday weekend promotion, I recommend a 3-part series, a launch, a reminder, and a last chance, with all of your other messaging being sent through email. If you're using SMS as your early access list, then you can get away with a couple of additional pre-launch messages to remind your subscribers that their early access is coming soon and getting them excited about what's happening. Just try not to go overboard. While something as simple as 3 campaign messages during Black Friday weekend can have a really big impact on your holiday sales success, using SMS in your automations is also a must-do. You have to be strategic about how you implement these for time-sensitive flows, such as browse and checkout abandonment, though. Let's pretend you have customers who shop in the evening, and they abandon their cart at 8:30 p.m. By the time the abandoned checkout notification is scheduled to be sent an hour later, now it's going to be 9:30 p.m., and that is SMS quiet hours. I'm not 100% sure how every platform handles this, but Klaviyo will pause that subscriber in the flow until quiet hours are over and then send the SMS message as soon as it's allowed, likely 8 a.m. the next day. So to make sure subscribers are always getting timely abandoned checkout reminders, I prefer to use SMS messages as a backup to email. For example, I'll send the traditional abandoned checkout email as usual. Then I set a time delay in my flow of around 30 minutes, and then I'll check to see if they engaged with the email that I just sent them. If they didn't, then I'll send the follow-up SMS message. This way, even if that SMS message falls into quiet hours and it won't be scheduled to send until the next day, at least I know that email was prioritized and sent anyway, giving me an additional chance to capture the sale. This is also why I recommend that you focus on growing both your email and SMS lists at the same time. The easiest way to do this is through a 2-step form. Have them fill out their email first, and then you can ask for their phone number on a separate page. This way, you can prioritize each channel to that subscriber when it makes sense. If you haven't started growing your SMS list, if you're listening to this in real time, don't worry. You've got plenty of time between now and peak holiday shopping season to start getting people on there. I recommend passively adding it to your existing forms and see how many people show an interest. While more consumers are getting comfortable with SMS, the sign-up rate is likely going to vary between different customer bases, so don't be surprised if you don't get a ton of interest right away. If you want to speed up the growth of your SMS list, you could always offer an extra incentive for being on the SMS list as part of your holiday pre-launch campaign. Some brands only offer early access through SMS, but I wouldn't do that until you've grown that list and you've trained your customers and you've proven that your average customer likes being on SMS because, like I said, not all customers do. Whatever you do to grow your SMS list, don't forget to invite your existing email subscribers to join too. So you can send them an email inviting them to join. And I would also create a sign-up form that is targeted specifically to them. Because they're already on your list, they're not going to see your regular pop-up form when they visit your website. So you'll create a separate form that targets people who are subscribed to email but not subscribed to SMS. If you've already been growing your SMS list, consider taking your strategy a step further with some smart segmentation. This will allow you to create more relevant, personalized messages. For example, you can target inactive customers or holiday-only shoppers with a unique version of early access to your holiday sale. That could look like extra early access or an all-around better discount if your margin can afford it. It doesn't even have to be an offer, though. It could just be a gentle reminder that you have something special coming up and they might want to start paying attention to you again. You can ask them to join the early access list through this re-engagement SMS so they make that micro conversion and raise their hand to say, yes, I want to hear more about whatever you have coming up. Just think of it as one more touch point that you are having with this generally unengaged audience that's probably going to need a little bit more TLC before they're ready to actually place an order with you. You can also use SMS to target customers who have only ever purchased from you one time. The goal, of course, would be to turn them into a repeat customer. So you can send them a unique limited time offer ahead of your Black Friday deals. This would work similarly to re-engage them with your brand so they're primed and ready to go during peak holiday season. Depending upon what you're offering for Black Friday, you may want to make sure that this offer is separate from what you're doing then. And if it makes sense, maybe it's on different products so that they still have a reason to come back again during Black Friday weekend. However you decide to implement SMS into your marketing strategy for Q4, here are a few tips and tricks for writing great text marketing messages. First up, keep it short and sweet. Attention spans are short, especially for subscribers who prefer SMS. You've also got a limitation on the total characters that will fit in one message. If your messages are too long, that will force your message to go through in multiple messages, and that can be frustrating as a customer. So make sure your messages are max 160 characters, and if you can do less than that, even better. Keep in mind, though, that links, even though they can be shortened by your SMS provider, will use some of that up. And most emojis count for multiple characters. So if you put an emoji in there, that could be 5 characters that it uses. Your SMS marketing platform should count the characters for you and let you know when you've spilled over into multiple messages. Just make sure you're keeping your eye on it. Ultimately, SMS is a notification channel, not a details channel. So don't try and stuff every last detail about the deal or product in your text message. Let your website fill in the blanks for you. You also want to be intentional about the first few words of your message. These are going to act similarly to a subject line, potentially showing as part of the preview in that subscriber's notifications. So make sure you are catching attention by calling out their name or using power words. Emojis can work here as well, but ask yourself what is going to get them to keep reading the message. You also want to use line breaks when necessary. So depending upon how long your message is, add some spacing in there. A block of text is tough on the eyes. That's especially true when you're talking about a tiny text bubble on a mobile phone. Generally, I'll try and split out whatever those first few words are that I'm using to get their attention. Then I'll have the main content, and then I'll add another space and put the link. You want to make sure that the eyes have a place to pause. And then use visuals intentionally. Adding static images and GIFs is a great way to make your message stand out. But keep in mind that it's going to add to the total cost of sending those messages. So if you're frugal, pay close attention and only use them when it's really going to add value to that message. And when you do use images, stick to one that's square or portrait so that it takes up more visual space and grabs attention. Double check with your SMS marketing platform on the maximum size an image can be. It usually ranges between 500 and 600 kilobytes. You also want to use timely language and dates. Remember, people are going to be on the go when they get your messages for the most part. So make sure you are clearly communicating any deadlines so they know it's time to take action. So you can use words like starting tomorrow, ends tomorrow, this weekend only, 48 hours. Be really specific. And like every other piece of marketing material you create, don't forget to include a call to action. Tell your customers what you want them to do, and don't forget to provide a link to the product or collection you want them to land on. Last but not least, don't overthink it. You don't have to be a clever wordsmith to write great SMS marketing messages. The main goal of the message is to get the customer to take action. We just want them to click through. Typically, the simpler the message, the one that makes you think, well, that can't be quite good enough. This feels too easy. Yeah, it's probably good enough. Ultimately, the more you do this, the easier it will become, the better data that you'll get. So please don't let your struggle of writing be the thing that keeps you from sending the message. Same thing I tell you to do with email, right? All right, so what are your next steps? First, if you're not already collecting phone numbers, start doing that right now. If you can work it into your Black Friday, Cyber Monday pre-launch, awesome. If that feels like too much work, don't worry about it. Just get it on your existing sign-up forms and see how it goes organically first. Then make sure you send SMS messages during Black Friday weekend. Keep it simple with a launch message, a reminder, and a last chance a few hours before the sale ends. But send that last chance early enough so that it isn't scheduled during quiet hours. Once you've got that nailed down, if you can update your automations, like your abandonment flows, to include an SMS backup, do it. Every extra click helps. And this should not take you more than a couple of hours to get everything set up. Keep it super simple for now, and you can revisit your overall SMS strategy in the new year. Depending on how far in advance you are doing this, let's say you have 4 weeks between when you start collecting phone numbers and Black Friday. You don't want to go dark for 4 weeks. People will forget that they subscribe to you, and then they're likely to unsubscribe. So make sure you have your welcome SMS. It can be super simple. Your platform probably has some placeholder content that you can use, and then try and send just 1 SMS a week so they don't forget about you. If you need more support crafting your Q4 content strategy, don't forget to get your hands on the holiday content bundle and check out other episodes of the eCommerce Badassery podcast for all your holiday planning needs. And of course, I will stick links for all of those resources in the show notes. And that, my friends, is a wrap. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at ecommercebadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to the Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at ecommercebadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.